Hi everyone, and thanks for joining us today. Those of you I did not meet last night at Mountain Club, I am the Chief Operating Officer. Previous to that, I was Head of Marketing for an inbound travel operator into New Zealand and on the global marketing team of Montreal. Kicking off community, I know there's a lot of different sectors and industries in this room, and I just wanted to say whoever thinks they do or they don't have community and in what way that might apply to them, everyone does. There's not too much specifics in this today because it's such a broad scope, but we'll get into that in the panel, I'm sure. I also just wanted to say everyone in your company, your staff, your customers, they're all different forms of community. So even if you don't think you have an active community, you definitely do. So hands up in this room who has a mailing list in some shape or form in their business? Yeah. Keep your hands up if you think anyone on that mailing list would help each other move house. Just Chanel. Okay, so most businesses, they think they have a community, but often what's actually happened is they've built an audience or a pretty mailing list with nice fonts. Maybe sell some products. Community is not a vibe, it's an infrastructure. Like Matt was talking about, it's the systems, it's the structures, and it's what helps you progress, grow, and scale. Community is not a vibe, it's not your branding, it's not just your marketing, it's not about organizing events and hoping that people connect. It's not even your logo on 50 tote bags. Here's the part that most people miss. If you want people to stick around, you have to show them value. Not vague value, but visible, felt, and personal value. People don't stay for potential, they stay for when something is working. And you can't just say that your community helps people grow, you have to prove it quickly and repeatedly. If your business doesn't have a system for your community to progress or build culture and scale, you don't have community, you have an audience. An audience watches, but a community participates. An audience shows up for you, but a community shows up for each other. Audiences are fleeting, but communities build with you. And that's the difference between short-term impact and long-term growth. And most people skip building them properly. So let's anchor this in data. According to a 2024 CMX Community Trend Report, 81% of companies consider their community to be successful at impacting their business goals. 19% said their community directly provided their business over $5 million USD per business in business value in the past 12 months alone. So if you're treating community like a vibe, you're leaving money, loyalty, and long-term advantage on the table. So before we get into it, for those who do have communities, I just want to ask a few answers from the audience, please. What is one word you want people to feel when they're part of your community?
Included.
Included? Yeah, absolutely.
Heard.
Heard. Yeah. One more.
Trust.
Trust, absolutely. So let's see how we can build some systems that make that feeling stick. So here's a twist most people miss when they're building their community, and it's something Chanel has done very well, as we've all seen. Community building doesn't start with how good your offer is or how good your product is. It starts with you, the person or the people behind the brand. And in bigger companies, this might not seem so obvious, but if someone doesn't trust the person building the brand, they're not going to trust your community. Nike's a really good example of this. Has anyone read Shoe Dog? Yeah. So we all know Phil Knight behind the brand. People started by trusting in him and his grit and his resilience and his values. But what really expanded Nike was him bringing on the right ambassadors who showed those values in real life, bringing people into the community with him. He didn't pick celebrities or influencers, he picked real life people who represented his brand. Community isn't built from content, is built from clarity, your clarity. Clarity in your values, in your positioning, and clarity in who your community is for and who it's not for. Strong communities start with a strong signal, and that signal often is your personal brand. A community is not a group of people who like your brand, it's a group of people who are better because of it. When you Google the definition of community or open the strategy document, it says something along the lines of a group of people with shared social values. Location, culture, religion, norms, something that's shared. Technically, this is true, but practically, it's pretty useless. This definition could apply to your local Facebook group or a security line in the airport. In business, that version of community isn't enough. It's not about gathering people, it's about impacting and the value that you give them. And if they're not getting value from your business, they're not coming back. And that's not harsh, it's just the truth. Community is not passive. Your audience or that mailing list, it is. And that's where the difference is that matters, because only one of those is sustainable. If you want referrals, retention, and advocacy, you don't get that from an audience, you get that from a community. So think about the last time a community really moved the needle in your life, and what was the difference? Too many people build communities for aesthetics, not infrastructure. They build events instead of ecosystems. They create engagement instead of ownership. Vibes instead of systems. Now this looks good on Instagram, but it doesn't stand up when you leave the room. A real community is operational. It's structured, it's built for resistance, and it's built to continually give people value. 3 uncomfortable truths about building community. If you build it, they might still leave. Now that can hurt a bit, but it's true. Just creating the space for a community is not enough. Attention is fragile. Relevance is what brings people into your community, but the value that you give them is what makes them stay. People don't stay for your Slack channel, they don't stay for your vibe, they stay for what your community means to them, because you're providing them with something that will help them grow, solve a problem, or move forward. If your community isn't delivering consistent value, it will fade. Let's do a quick reality check here. Has anyone ever launched something and had it go quiet way earlier than you expected? Yeah? You're not alone. This is one of the most common stories in community building. Truth number 2, not everyone belongs in your community. That can be a little bit spicy, but strong communities have filters, shared language and cultural norms. It's not exclusion, it's protection. Truth number 3, most communities fail due to unclear power structures. This one's subtle, but key. If people don't know how to contribute to your community, they won't. Communities need clear roles, clear rituals, and clear routes to value. Audience is top-down, but community is distributed contribution. And that needs to be clear and encouraged. So if you want more than attention to build a real community, you need to design it for 3 things. Design for progress. You have to show value, not just offer people potential. Ask yourself, what journey or transformation does your community take people on? If they're not seeing results, they're not going to stay. Secondly, you need to design for culture. What do you reward, recognize, and repeat? That's your culture, whether you like it or not. So what are you actually reinforcing? Are you celebrating loud voices or loyal contributors? Are you spotlighting social clout or meaningful progress? And finally, design for scalability. And this is one of the ones that stings a little bit with founders. If you stepped away tomorrow, would your community survive, thrive, or collapse? Because a true community isn't built on you, it's built on the systems, roles, and rituals that continue even when you're not in the room. So here's my definition of community. It's not a vibe, it's an infrastructure. It's culture, and it's the engine behind sustainable growth. If you want loyalty, don't just build hype, build structure. If you want referrals, don't just build reach, build relevance. If you want growth, don't just gather people, but build the systems where they belong, contribute, and progress. Because when you stop designing for attention and start designing for action, everything changes. Audiences drift, vibes fade, but communities that are built right, they scale, they stick, they make people better, and they make brands bigger. And that's one of my favorite ways to build businesses.